Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Built by Me. My name's Ryan, and this week we're going to start building our chassis jig. Once the car's blasted and all the imperfections are bare and for all to see, we are going to start taking out lots of metal because it is really rusted. So floor pans, frame rails, chassis rails, it's all coming out. So when you take that out, obviously the car goes all loosey-goosey because it's not as reinforced as it was. So to make sure that the car stays square, I'm going to make like I said, a chassis jig to hold it in place so that I know where all the bolt holes need to go as well. And everything will bolt up together and be square when the car's all done. And I hope everyone who has been watching from the start enjoys something other than taking shit off the car. Alright, let's get to it. So here is my highly accurate chassis measuring device. I got the tape measure, nice and straight, it's nice and level. And I've got a line that's coming down from the front strut bolt. It's got a bit of a weight on it. And at the back, I have a spanner. And we've got it right on the end there. So the measurement that I've got is 2593. Let's try the other diagonal and see if it's the same. Okay, and here's the other side. So I had to turn the tape on the side because the stands aren't quite in the same position, but everything's nice and level, nice and straight. And the measurement that we have is 2592, 1 mil out. I think that's I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy that the chassis is pretty straight. So yeah, I'm happy to start making this jig. And yeah, this is the roof skin that I have. It's got a bit of surface dust on it, a few holes in the back, but you know, it's a lot cleaner than mine if you've watched my other videos. Yeah, this is much cleaner. Show you around it. So yeah, at the back it's a little bit rough. Around here, a few little patches to do, but otherwise it's pretty good. Pretty good. If anyone's interested in the plans that I'm using to create this chassis jig, you can check it out on classiczcars.com. I'll leave the link in the description below. And a big shout out to Kent for posting up the plans and creating this jig. As you can see, not a lot of room to work. This isn't my shed, so it's not how I would have my shed. Trust me. But it's all I have to work with. And the lengths of steel are so long, I have to cut them where they are, so it's not the best. Okay, so I've cleaned up these sections. This is actually the front crossmember that bolts into the front frame rails. So what's going to happen is there will be 4 of these 50mm tube frames and one 25mm frame for where the sway bar goes, and these will sit on 50mm 3-meter long lengths, so they'll all sit on the same plane. So I've got to lie those 3-meter lengths out and get them all level, and then I'll put these on top. But first we'll fabricate these up just because I want to weld. So this is going to be the first thing that I'm welding for the car. I'm pretty excited. We'll clean off the paint and we'll get started. Okay, so I run into a little problem. I was checking the tubes as I was cutting them. They were a little bit out of square, but I didn't think it would be that much of an issue. But when you come to weld it up, it becomes an issue. So I only have one of these, so I'm holding it level that way, with this, and then I'm using these two and a clamp to hold it level that way. I'm hoping that when I tack it, it's all going to be alright. I don't know. I've never done metal fabrication before, so I am guessing right now. So here we go. So it's okay, it's square this way, but it's gone off a bit that way. So it's kind of leaning this way, so where's the other way? No, it's leaning this way. So I'm going to try and weld this side, see if it pulls back. Who knows? Just trial and error at the moment. So I was blowing through this on this one, so I tried to drop the voltage, but then the wire speed was too long, so now I'm going to try and clean this up and grind back the weld. I've seen better welds. I'll show you guys. And it's not pretty. It is not pretty. Look, I'm endeavoring to improve, but yeah, it's not pretty. But I'm pretty happy because it looks pretty square. I don't know how you're supposed to measure the squareness of it once it's got welds on it, unless you grind it flush. But look, it doesn't look too bad. I don't know what tolerances welders, boilermakers normally work with, but we'll get there. Alright, so this is my first creation using metal. Look, the welds are not pretty at all, and I've learnt a lot just doing this. This has probably taken me about 2 hours, like getting things level, where to tack, where not to tack, where's going to pull, where's not going to pull. So yeah, everything's really square. I chucked the magnet square on there and everything is really square. I'm really surprised. She's done. So now I just got to go through and do the rest of them. And hopefully that's going to go a lot quicker. So this time around went a lot quicker, putting the whole thing together. I still haven't done the full weld, so I'm going to go through and do the full welds now. But yeah, this one's gone a little bit quicker. I've still got to put a little frame up here because this goes inside of where the gearbox sits. It mounts to the gearbox mounts. So yeah, there'll be two of these little things, and then another one like that to fit inside the transmission tunnel. So let's do these welds. Alright, so now I've done all the full welds.
Okay, so what I've done here is I'm just testing the piece that bolts into the gearbox support. I've got the gearbox support bolts in there at the moment, and yeah, it fits well. So what I did was I just drilled a bit of a bigger hole so that I could get the socket in and reuse those gearbox bolts. So yeah, so that fits in there, and then I can undo them. And yeah, so now I can weld it on.
Alright, and there you go. Frame number 2, done. This one's actually done. I drilled all the holes and everything, so... feels good. Progress. Welds are definitely getting better. Definitely getting better. Really happy with that. So I'm just going to trial fit this brace because it's complete, so I can bolt it in place, hopefully, and it will fit.
So in hindsight, I would probably build this frame a little differently if I did it again. If you notice when it's in position now, it's going to foul up me working on the floor pans and the chassis rails. So what I would do if I was building this again is I would move the uprights further in and make that second horizontal beam shorter so that it's less in the way, and I wouldn't worry about drilling a bigger hole in the bottom and trying to fit the socket into it like I am now. I would just simply cut that bottom square out so that it's open and it's easy to get to.
Persistence is key. Oh my god. Yo! It fits! Oh. Yes! Yes! So what I've decided to do now is finish off that first frame that we started. I need some angle, so I'm going to make some angle out of just some square tube, cut it on a diagonal, and we're going to weld that onto the first frame and then drill the holes, and yeah, then we'll have 2 complete frames done, and there'll only be 2 more to go. Getting there. Angle's all welded on, so now I just got to drill the 4 holes to go where the subframe bolts in. And this one will be done and I can bolt it in and move on to the next one. Okay, so I'm just trialing the fitment of the first brace. So I've got the subframe bolts here, the front subframe bolts, and the moment of truth. Hey, she's in. Looks like it fits. My God, I was worried because drilling those holes, like, didn't have anything to clamp it with, so I was shaking all around and the drill bit was walking around. But it looks like everything fits. Alright, we'll just tighten those up and see how we go. So this is the third frame. This is the front diff carrier. So where the lower rear control arms bolt into, towards the front of the car. These bolt straight in there. So yeah, I've just tacked it up, made it all square, and now I'm just going to do the welds. Alright, that's the third frame down. And now, there's only one frame left. Alright guys, so we're on to the last frame now. This is the rear diff carrier, so it bolts into where the there's some brackets that drop down for the mustache bar to attach to. So for this one, I've had to MacGyver some extra little brackets to make up the height, because the plans I'm going off use a different size of tube, which I don't have. So I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to put some tabs on the side there like that, and a hole's going to go in there and bolt through, and then I'll put the rest of the frame together, and we'll be finished all the support frames, and then we can start leveling the lengths out and yeah, attaching them to the frames. Alright guys, so I've ground that down flat now so that the angle is going to be able to sit flush against it. I've lined this one up. It was a very complicated process, but it's in line now. So I'm just going to tack it in, and then I'm going to tack this side in, and then we're going to bolt it to the car and make sure it fits before we weld up the rest of the frame. Alright, so what I actually did was I'd lined up one quite accurately, and then I just bolted it in, bolted that bracket in under the car, and then pushed this up, clamped it in place, tacked it in place so that I know it fits. And now I'm just going to weld it in. Okie dokie, so now that's done. Let's tack this frame together tack the whole thing together, and then weld it up, and we're done with these frames. Okay, so there it is. This is what's going to be next. Is I'm going to have to jack this length up to meet these here. They're all pretty good except for this one. It's a little short for some reason. I double checked the plans that I'm following and double measured my frames, but I can't see any difference. It may be just a difference within each chassis. It's only about a 5mm gap. So I'm probably just going to pack it with maybe a piece of 3mm plate and then jack it the rest of the way. I don't really want the car to be under tension while I'm cutting things out, because then it's going to move basically when I cut things out, it's going to start moving around, and that's what I don't want. I want it to stay still. So there we go. 4 frames are bolted in, they all fit, and we're not too bad on the with the lengths. It'll do. Everyone's touching except for this one here. So I'm pretty happy that this shell is straight. Now what we're going to need to do is start preparing these lengths. So I basically need to cut a bunch of angle, and I'm going to drill the holes because these are going to be detachable with bolts, and basically drill the holes for where they're meant to go, and then bolt them in. Once it's bolted, then I'll jack everything up and weld the frame to the angle. So that's the next step. Just keep plodding along, one job at a time.